Happy Wednesday, Collective. I hope everyone is having a beautiful week. I'm here, as you all know, in Costa Rica, and it is a beautiful, beautiful summer day here. We've got a beautiful wind, which is very typical here throughout Central America in February. So we've talked a lot about scouting trips. What are the do's and don'ts? Some things that I've seen that pop up a lot in these other moving to Costa Rica or moving to Panama, moving to Nicaragua, a lot of questions I see popping up is what can I do for income? I think it's really important to touch on because it's not only about what can I do for income while I'm living here, what type of job can I have, what type of business, that sort of stuff. But really, the big picture, it's about planning. So I want to touch on planning because I think planning is so important. It would be the same thing in your home country when you're looking to plan for a vacation, a move. There's, as you know, there's steps that take place. So I know we focused a lot on Costa Rica because a lot of you in the collective the majority are wanting to move to Costa Rica, but I am noticing in the collective there's a lot of you that are showing interest in Nicaragua, which, touching on Nicaragua, I am planning. It's all locked in. I've got 2 families I'm working with that I'm going up to Nicaragua next week, and so I'm really excited for those in the collective that are interested in planning a scouting trip or moving to Nicaragua. We have some exciting stuff to share with you next week. But I wanted to also focus on Panama because there's a lot of you in the collective that are interested in moving to Panama. But when we talk about planning and budget, I think that it's important. This is something regardless of wherever you want to relocate to abroad. I think planning and budget are super key. But let's focus on Panama. With Panama, so I like to think of you for relocators are looking in terms of budget, you have to look at 3 stages. So you've got what we would call basic, otherwise known as survival mode. It's not something that I would advise you on. Usually what I'm seeing is those that want to relocate, they've got between 3,000 to 5,000 to relocate down here, and that's really just going to cover your basic expenses. Getting into a home where you're going to have a deposit plus your rent. Some people have asked me, well, can I pay half the deposit and then the other half? No, you cannot. These are rental agreements. They're pretty flexible. They're used to dealing with foreigners, a lot of these homeowners, and so short-term rentals, long-term rentals, very flexible. But in terms of moving costs, you have to have a signed contract, and then you have to put down a deposit, and then you'll pay your monthly rent from there. And so, as I said, $3,000 to $5,000 is going to get you your basic move-in. Not going to get you a car. You'll most likely be taking mass transportation, and then also you've got the middle step, which would be, I'd say, between $7,000 to $10,000. That's going to get you. You're either a digital nomad, you've got income that's coming in, and then the other next step would be between, I'd say, $10,000 to $22,000. That's if you're wanting to start a business. You're coming in as an investor. Now, with Panama and the visa requirements, there are different types of visas. But in order for you can come down here as a tourist. You get a tourist visa, and depending upon the countries that you're visiting, and where your home country is, you will get be able to come on a tourist visa. For instance, here in Costa Rica, you get 6 months. But you also have to show proof that you are going to be returning on a return flight, or whether that's a bus crossing the border in either to Panama or Nicaragua, and you've got to show what we call an onward ticket. And so in Nicaragua, it's 3 months. So it really depends. You have to check with your home country and look at what the visa requirements are within your home country. But with Panama, you can come down as a tourist, but if you want to file for residency, for instance, with a pensionado, which is a retiree, you have to show at least $1,000 of income that's coming in per month. And it's the same way with the other types of visas. You have to show some type of income that's going to be coming in. It's not just saying, hey, I've got 6 months worth of savings. That's not going to work. So you have to really, when you're looking, okay, so now you've decided, you've visited, or you've heard a lot about living in Central America. You see a lot of there's a lot of interest in moving down here, especially with a lot of the stuff that's going on in other parts of the world. So a lot of people are saying, hey, I want to pack it up and I want to move down here. Planning. If you have not been down here, you have to come down here for a scouting trip. It doesn't matter if it's 7 days, 6 months, a year, whatever that looks like, you have to come down here because that is part of the planning. And 32% of foreigners that come down here without some type of plan, they do return within 2 to 3 years. So here at Tropical Compass, we obviously don't want you to be that statistic. We have walked through your guys' shoes. We do scouting trips. We've relocated. We've walked the walk. And we know how to negotiate and walk through a lot of the challenges and wins that we go through living down here. It is a different pace. It's a different type of life. It's a culture. And so really coming down here with a plan and budget. When you look at your budget, if something is $5, plan it to be $8, or something's $10, plan it to be $14. And you really want to be able to look at your budget and say, okay, what areas is going to fit my lifestyle and my budget? Because the last thing you want to do is getting down here and you don't have the type of work permit where it allows you to work down here. What are you going to do? So that's another thing that pops up a lot, is a lot of people think that they can move down here and just find a job, and that's not the reality. Okay, the wages down here are a lot lower than they are from our home countries, and so the competition, in order to be able to, well, one, if you're allowed to work here, it can take years and years and years. You have to become a temporary resident, and there's just a lot of steps you have to take. So it would make more sense, and I highly recommend it, is that you have to be able to, as part of that plan, you have to be able to come down here with monthly income coming in, unless you are planning on creating a business down here, you plan on having some type of monthly income, whether that's through your pension, 401k, or you have a business, say overseas, online, consulting, anything like that. That's something that you really have to make sure that you have prior to moving down here, because the likelihood of you getting a work permit or having a company here locally that's going to sponsor you over a local, that really is not going to work. So there's a lot. If you guys I do actually have a lot of recommendations for people that if you are looking to become a digital nomad, you are looking to be able to do some type of work, freelancing, teaching English. There's other companies out there that will allow you to work remotely. But the key thing here is you really have to have a plan, unless you've got years and years and years of income that's coming in, or savings. But most of these visa requirements that you're going to go through to gain some type of residency, the government, they want you to be able to prove that you're not going to be a burden to the system. So very much like in our home countries, say in the United States, you have to show that you've got some type of income that's going to be coming in, to be so that way you're not going to be a burden to the system. And so part of being legal here as a legal resident, you have to show that you have some type of income that's coming in. And if you guys are interested in residency, I can refer you guys to an amazing attorney. And I don't want to get into the nuances of the various visas and things like that. I could certainly, if you guys are interested, we can talk. I can advise what that looks like for each country. Offline. But if you guys are interested in helping us create a plan for you, whether that's a scouting trip or you've been down here and now you're looking to relocate, comment book in the comments, or you can message me privately, and I'd be happy to connect with you and carve out your customized next steps in your journey. And just remember that all of us as a foreigner moving abroad, we've always said, I'd want to, okay, now I'm done with living in my home country. I want to come and I want to make a new life. And we have this dream, and it's an amazing dream, and it's super possible. You can do it, but you have to have a plan. And so having a plan, understanding exactly, what are the expenses going to look like? What is that cost of living? What are taxes? If you're going to start a business, what are some of the government nuances that you need? What does Social Security look like? There's just a lot of stuff. So I know today I touched on Panama a little bit, but I wanted to just share with you guys on a very high level of being able to plan and understand what those costs are going to look like. If you just came down here on vacation, or you've seen, for instance, some highlighted reels, and you say, oh, now I want to move down here, really and truly it can take, depending upon if it's just yourself, if you're married, or if you have a family, that the timeline can vary. But I would say you really want to start your scouting trips at least 3 to 6 months. I mean, 3 months is, we can put something together, depending upon how detailed you need to bring your stuff down. But really and truly, I would say scouting trips, I would start within 3 to 6 months of you having that idea that you want to move. So let's just say you came down here on vacation, or you've never been down here, and you say, okay, I want to come down and do a scouting trip. I would say start planning that out within 3 to 6 months. And then once you get down here, and then you go back to your home country, and then you decide, hey, this is something I want to do. I mean, I would start planning at least 12 to 18 months out of relocating here. There's a lot of things that pop up. It's not about just packing your luggage and getting on a plane. If you're bringing pets, there's a lot of things you need to know about pets. We can help you work through that. There's a lot of stuff about residency. A lot of people will ask, well, I want to file residency while I'm in my home country. That's not recommended. In fact, the government here in Costa Rica, they want you to file your residency from the time that you have your last stamp. So there's just a lot of moving parts in terms of finding places to live, finding out the location. So you have to be very strategic in the way that you're planning. Of course, when you get down here, live pura vida, enjoy your time here. Do get in some beach days, some tourism type kind of days, but just don't forget the reason why you're coming down here, and just have a budget, have a plan, and really understand that when you move down here, it is a totally different lifestyle. It is slower. You have to bring your patience. Things take time. For instance, right now in San Juan del Sur in Nicaragua, the water has been out. There's been the people there, they have not had any water for a couple days. It looks like they're not going to have water till about Friday or Saturday. So that is something that happens and occurs in very specific places in different parts of the countries down here. Nicaragua is known for having brownouts, and we have brownouts out here in Costa Rica too. The water, it is very typical. You have people that are very upset and complaining that aren't used to the fact that the water can go out. And so understanding that certain areas of the countries that you're interested in are going to have infrastructure issues. We are in a developing region. We're not back where you guys were in your home countries. But I think that understanding that and being very strategic, that's why coming down on a scouting trip, understanding what costs are going to look like, knowing how much it's actually going to cost you to come down here and be a success story, not that 32% that comes back after 2 to 3 years because they had a lack of planning. And so going back to the water situation, a lot of times when I work with clients in the collective, I let them know, hey, this area is prone to having outages with water and with with electricity. Are you prepared for that here? And they said, oh, wow, okay. I said, but here are the alternatives. So there are alternatives for you to prepare. You have a different what the locals do to prepare. It's something that I'm very familiar with because I've lived that. I understand what it's like to have taking a shower and all of a sudden the water is pressure is starting to go out, and you go, okay, the water's coming out. But we prepare to be able to have to be able to move on in life as those situations come up. And so just that's one of the things about bringing your patients. So again, if you guys are interested in a scouting trip and knowing more about relocation, click book in the comments. Go ahead and put book, and I'd be happy to reach out to you, and I'd love to know more about where you are in your scouting trip and relocation plans. And I love to make dreams happen. I've made my dream happen, and so I love making other people's dreams happen too. So I hope you guys have an amazing rest of your week. And next week we've been in planning, as I said, going up to Nicaragua. I'm going to talk about next week. I'm driving my car. Something to know about before I let you guys go about driving your car in and out of the countries here in Nicaragua. You have to have an exit permit, and I'll talk about that more. I had to go to my attorney yesterday, get the exit permit. It's something I've had to work on for the last week. So we'll talk more about that. I'll show you what the exit permit looks like, the steps that I needed to take in working with my attorney, and that is why having an excellent vetted professional and attorney and community and network is super important. And so why you need to have a coach that can guide you and lead you and help you become a success down here. So have an amazing day today. Pura vida.